Well, let's talk now to the retail expert, Kate Hardcastle. Kate, really good to see you. Thank you for joining us on the programme. First of all, Gap, was that a big surprise to you?
They did announce that they were going to undergo this review across their European operations last year, and they gave an indication that would include some store closures a few weeks ago. I think when you look at the retail organisations that have closed on the high street, there tends to have been a pattern of two things. COVID certainly might have been the nail in the coffin, but they seem to have all collectively sets of issues prior to hitting COVID. They weren't in a great state, and therefore in that survival of the fittest, they've not been able to survive. So this organisation was stuck in a time warp almost. The stores look the same as they did 20 years ago, with carefully curated denim jeans folded in the shelves. They didn't seem to really have moved with the times, and certainly when you look at the business and the brand, it just hadn't started to connect with the consumer of today that just expects so much more from the brands they buy with.
I mean, are you not surprised there hasn't been more outrage about this sort of, things moving from high street physical shops to online? I was looking earlier when ASOS took over Arcadia, which of course is the company responsible for Topshop, Topman and Miss Selfridge, and decided to buy up the brands but essentially not save the shops. 13,000 retail jobs are at stake as a result of that, will be lost as a result of that, with only 300 people retained. Those are enormous figures. Our high street's essentially going to be non-existent.
Well, I think there's a few really good points there. Our high streets don't have to be non-existent, but they can't just hang their hat on retail. We deserve, as human beings, a place to socialise and be together and have community, and that's going to require amazing planning. And on that, we've had 10 high street ministers in 10 years in the UK. So anyone, even if they were worth their salt, will not have had time to have their feet under the table to work out a strategy for what our future high streets need to look like. In terms of brands and businesses, they are not charities. They are not going to make decisions that are not financially viable. Should they have been making these plans sooner? Should they have evolved sooner? Absolutely. No one wants these catastrophic figures to hit so impactfully and in such big numbers. But certainly we've got to be honest as well and look at things like COVID. With the on and off lockdowns, any organisations trying to keep going in these times have found themselves piled up with expenses, and they go so far beyond general operations. Safety measures, social distancing in stores, they all mean that actually stores are really trying hard just to break profit at the moment. It's not a cheap way of doing business. And neither is online though either. That's seen teething problems. I think as consumers, we drive this. So we have to accept the way we shop is going to determine where the shops and where the online offers play.
Interesting you say that, actually, because, I did a little sort of straw poll of some of the girls in the newsroom earlier, and all of us are in agreement. We don't like buying clothes online, actually. We like to be able to physically go and feel material, try things on. So is it not a case now for consumers that the sort of adage should be use it or lose it? And if we don't go and, frequent the high street and go into these shops...
That's what Kate's just said. That's what you're just saying, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That it is our responsibility now.
It's some of that showrooming that perhaps some of your colleagues are doing that's creating this. They want somebody to go and see it and touch it, but then actually if they can find a better price online, they will buy online. Those are the statistics, that's what's happening. But that doesn't mean that retailers can't still operate some kind of showroom online. It's still possible to have multiple channels. What I think we have to accept is we probably have to realise as consumers the power in our purse. We demand and expect a lot from the retailers we buy from, and retailers can't operate in some prehistoric way. They've got to move with the times. And I think it's a synergy, but how do you get both quality and quantity of offer in stores and online? How do you use those channels effectively together? What I do think is interesting is we're going to get a better quality of high street in the future. And if you want a really good start out of what's happened, out of a very catastrophic situation, we're starting to see more green shoots for independent stores. And I think that's going to lead to much better vibrancy on our high streets rather than that same homogenized look and feel in every town and city you go to.
Kate, it's really good to talk to you. One day we'll talk about something positive. At the moment, it's all a bit grim, isn't it?
I try and find the positive, small independents popping up, villages and towns resurgence. It will happen. We've got to go through the pain barrier. But yeah, absolutely. Let's get in there and talk about the positive side of retail too.
Really good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon.